So we've looked at the difference between a franchisee, a franchisor and a franchise. We've also looked at should a franchisee become a franchisee. In this video, we're going to look at should a company decide to franchise out its business, or, as I suspect a case study question could come, should they just keep it in-house and keep growing on their own without the help of a franchisee. So this is the for and against to if they should franchise out their business. So why you should do it? Number one, well, because you can speed up your growth if you bring in franchisees. Franchisees, they're going to pay what's called capital expenses. They're going to pay for the rent, they're going to pay for the bills in their local site, in their local McDonald's, for example. And so therefore, you, as the company, will need less borrowing because you don't need to pay for all these things that you otherwise would have to pay. Number two, because the franchisee is taking on a lot of the responsibility, you've got less HR costs because the franchisee, the people they employ, you don't have to train them up. You don't have to pay them a wage. You don't have to even recruit them. All those are HR costs that you do not need to incur. So it's not your problem. Number three, less operational costs. Much like the HR point, you don't need to take on these additional operational costs from a new branch because someone else, the franchisee, is dealing with it. The franchisee will deal with how many, if it's a burger joint, for example, how many patties need to be bought, how many buns need to be bought. All that is something that someone needs to do, and it's part of the operational decision-making process. You don't need to be part of that. Less costs for operation. Number four, well, now that you are franchising your business and you're going to become the franchisor, the franchisee will pay you an initial fee, and the franchisee will give you a split, a cut of the profits. As they make profits, you might get 5 or 10% of that, or any other percentage. Number five, the franchisee, they might bring you onto a national level or an international level. They might expand your business in areas that you just wouldn't be able to successfully get into. They can do it because of their expertise or their geographical location, and they can take your brand further. So there's an increased brand recognition, and your existing branches, they might now be even more successful in terms of sales, revenues, profits. The cons of franchising out your business and becoming a franchisor are you have reduced control. Not no control, reduced control. Because you now no longer have control over the franchisee, who they recruit, how they train them, how many items of whatever the good is that they bring in, the stock control. And you do have control over certain things such as uniforms, the interior, for example. So there's reduced control. Also, it may be hard for the franchisee to meet your standards. And if they cannot meet your standards, there is not a consistent experience. Not a consistent experience. And if there's not a consistent experience between different branches of the franchise, then that could lead to a problem. The customers might not like that, and therefore all franchises could be affected by lower demand. Lower demand means lower sales, lower revenue, lower profits. Two, profit sharing. Because now that you are a franchise, you are not able to get all the profits from the franchisee because they've incurred all the costs of setting up that particular branch of your franchise. You can't have all their profits. You can have a cut of their profits, but not all of their profits. Case study question could be, should the company grow internally or should it franchise, and should it let franchisees join their business? Your evaluation points. Well, it depends on, number one, the size of the fee you receive from the franchisee. That fee could be all the difference. Also, it will depend on the size of the cut of the profits that you will receive from the franchisee's ongoing business or their branch. And number three, the amount of control you keep. How much of this control are you keeping over your franchisee to ensure that consistent experience? Because that is very very important to you, because you might also have branches of this franchise and you don't want to be reputationally damaged by what's happening in your franchisee. And number 4, the quality of the franchisee. So that person that comes to you and says, I want to be part of your franchise, I'll give you some money and a cut of the profits so I can be part of your successful business formula. Well, the quality of that person will make all the difference. That entrepreneur, if you've got faith in them, you believe in them, they've got business acumen, they've got the skills, the qualifications, then go for it. But if they can't even make a business plan, for example, then maybe it's not the right entrepreneur to be your franchisee. So it depends on the quality of the franchisee. I hope that helps with your vision. Good luck.